Okay, wow, I'm live. Um, let's see. Mhm. Okay, so I'm going on that. Mhm. Okay, so let's see. Um, um, and, um, this is pretty daunting. What do you have to say? Mm, Hmm.
Hi.
Hi. Hang on, let me get to the screen. There you are.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Trying to get different technical things down, but I think I got this recorded.
Okay.
Can you hear
I,
me okay?
I can hear you just fine.
Perfect. I invited the only participant, but she's not on Gmail right now.
Okay. We'll see if she shows up.
Yeah. If not, I was thinking maybe we could just talk about just a little bit about our careers and stuff like that because this is being recorded and people can, watch it if they want to.
Later.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah. did,
Awesome.
did you have school today?
I did not. St. John's preemptively canceled everything, uh,
Okay.
shut the university for Monday and Tuesday, and we'll see if we're open Wednesday. So,
Yeah, that's same. I actually work, I'm a professor at Stevens Institute of Technology in New Jersey now, and they canceled everything at like 1.
yeah, we have a lot of commuters, so I'm really glad because my class was supposed to be from 5 to 6:25.
Right.
And yesterday I was looking at the forecast and I'm like, even if they don't cancel, I
You
just,
might.
yeah.
Yeah,
um,
it's really bad. I mean, I'm like looking out the window. It's pretty bad out there.
it's, yeah, it's rough. um, yeah.
Where do you live?
I live in Queens, near Kew Gardens.
Oh, okay, okay. Yep.
So,
Hmm.
between the airports, basically, right in the middle.
Oh, yeah.
My
Yeah, that's
fiance
good.
lives in Buffalo, so the airport proximity, and I'm like a 10, 12-minute bus ride from St. John's, so it's like my little perfect circle.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. Definitely.
It's pretty.
Definitely.
I
Yeah.
used to live on Roosevelt Island, though, when I was a postdoc, and I really miss Roosevelt Island.
Really? I went there for the first time last summer. I liked it. It was cute.
It's
It was,
adorable, and my
yeah.
apartment had this sweeping view of the Queensboro Bridge, and everything was pretty close by and convenient. Even when I would get very angry that the Duane Reade closed at 10, everything was overall still pretty
Was it like relatively more expensive to live there, or was it about the same? I'm just asking because I'm thinking about moving to the city.
Yeah, so I lived in Weill Cornell postdoc housing,
Okay.
so I had a bit of a lower price than I would have otherwise. But on the whole, the prices are comparable to what you pay on the Upper East Side, but you get a little more space.
Okay. Got it. All
Also,
right.
there are like, you know, in 2 years, I saw like 3 roaches.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's roaches here too, so.
Oh, yeah. What I'm saying is, like, compared to like my first day, yeah,
Oh, it was a lot better.
it was a lot
Yeah.
better in terms of roaches and mice because there's a vacuum system, just like at Disney World, that
Oh,
sucks the trash down. And so you don't have that thing where your building is piling up all the garbage and going to put it on the street. It all gets, like, you put it down the garbage chute and it gets, like, sucked to the incinerator.
that's great, actually.
Um,
Pretty awesome.
there's, like, the Starbucks and the sushi restaurant have a dumpster, but it, like, has the fewest rats of any neighborhood in New York City and I think also the fewest roaches, which was really nice.
That's great. That's a plus for sure.
Um, Yeah, my fiance lived on the Upper East Side on 62nd Street. I now live in Queens. It was lots of, you know, bug killing is, a skill I could probably put on my resume at this point, but
Yeah, right. I'm like a country girl. I'm originally from upstate New York, and when I came here, it was like something you legitimately had to get over. Like I don't think I've ever seen a roach before I moved here, and you have to get over it and
yeah.
know how to kill them.
What part of upstate?
Around Rochester.
Okay. Okay, Lewis went to he went to Eastman at Rochester for his undergrad, and he's now an MD student at SUNY Buffalo.
Oh wow. Okay, so he's in. Yeah, I know both of those areas pretty well. Yeah, definitely.
I feel like I was driving through that area of New York every couple weeks over the summer when we were getting ready to move him up there. So
Yeah. Oh, that's. It's kind of a boring drive, but it's not that bad. Except for right now, it's always cold and it's always snowing up there. So
yeah, yeah, he came down for the weekend, and I'm waiting on the Greyhound, the text that says the Greyhound got there okay. He was fleeing the
oh,
city at 10 this morning. Um,
he probably was okay if I had to guess.
yeah, yeah,
But,
he's past Syracuse at this point. But yeah, he was like, I could wait
oh,
in the afternoon, and I'm like looking at the forecast. I'm like, nah, don't do it.
okay.
I haven't seen any pictures of like Penn Station this afternoon, but it apparently was, the end of the world in there. If I came back.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I'm just looking to see. I don't think this student is on yet, but let me just double check the website or her address real quick.
So apparently she doesn't use that Gmail account frequently. Maybe
Right.
I'll send her an email at her Yahoo address.
Okay. That's a good idea. I'm just gonna double check her. All right. I just sent her a G chat, so maybe she'll respond in the next few minutes. If not, I mean, would you be okay just
Yeah,
talking about our career? It will take probably not that long, but that's okay without any questions.
yeah.
But yeah, let's give her a few more minutes. Okay, I mean, I don't know how long you want to wait, or if we just want to start.
Let's go ahead and get started. I gave her my cell phone number in the email, so if she's having tech difficulties. So,
Okay. All
um,
right. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
either one. Did Carla have any questions we're definitely supposed to address?
No, she didn't really give a lot of guidelines. I just assumed it was going to be more of a we would kind of give an introduction and then whoever was on here would ask questions. Um,
Uh, you
yeah.
can. Would you like to go first?
Sure, why not? I guess I can say like, to anybody who's watching, if anybody watches later on, this is the Next Scholars Career Paths. My name is Marissa Gray, and I'm co-hosting with Kristy Lamb, and we're going to be talking about our careers in kind of the biology field and also higher education. So I guess I'm going to go first with the introduction. Um, so I guess I should start with what I do now. I'm an assistant professor at Stevens Institute of Technology. I'm a professor in biomedical engineering. And my background also includes electrical engineering as well. And where that comes in is from my undergrad degree, which was in biomedical engineering, but I also had a minor in electrical engineering, and that was from Worcester Polytechnic Institute. That's in Massachusetts. It's another small engineering school. And then after I graduated from there, I went and did my master's and PhD at Stevens, and I just graduated with my PhD, thank goodness, in last May in 2014, and then they hired me on to be a faculty member there. So I'm going on to my second semester of teaching. I love it. It's great. I really like the student interaction. So if anybody has any questions about engineering, biomedical engineering, kind of going through the graduate school process. Also, if you want positions in higher education and teaching, please let me know. My email is mgray@stevens.edu, and also you can get my contact information on one of the many sites we have. All right, so Kristy, do you want to go next?
Yeah, my name is Kristy Lamb. I am currently the STEM Career Advisor at St. John's University in Queens, New York. My background, I double majored in microbiology and the public understanding of science at North Carolina State University. And while I was there, I did a ton of undergraduate research opportunities. I spent 3 years in a lab. I spent another summer doing a National Science Foundation research experience for undergraduates at Michigan State University and REU. And then I also spent a summer working in a tuberculosis lab at the CDC. When I finished undergrad, I was in love with research and couldn't wait to go to lab every day, and so it seemed very reasonable to go on to graduate school. I earned my PhD in genetics from Yale University. I studied DNA repair and how single amino acid changes in a DNA repair protein changes how well the protein works and how a cancer cell with that mutation might respond to drugs differently than a normal cell without that mutation, or a cancer cell without that mutation. When I finished my dissertation, I felt like I wasn't done doing research, and I had more questions and experiments I wanted to do. And so what I wound up doing was going to, sorry, I thought I heard a bloop that might indicate we had our...
Yeah, me too. I looked too.
do we have our student? We really do like you next scholars, and we look forward to meeting you when we get the chance to hang out with you guys. I guess not. So I went on to Weill Cornell, which is the medical college for Cornell University and is located on New York City's Upper East Side, to do a postdoctoral fellowship in cell signaling. While I was there, I became involved in a lot of things, among them being the NeXXt Scholars Program. When I was a graduate student, being part of a mentoring program, Women in Science at Yale, was really important to me. And when I was an undergrad, I helped found a science fair mentoring program that put NC State college students in elementary school classrooms. And so all along I had this whole thing with mentoring and really feeling that it was professional development was super important to me, and I would find myself hanging out after New York Women in STEM events, like for a half hour, talking to people about their career paths. And at some point, it dawned on me that that was actually a career, career choice.
Cool.
And I was also doing a lot of advocacy work for science through ASBMB and got really interested in science pipeline issues through that. And sort of a perfect storm of all those things and deciding that I was feeling kind of done moving liquids tube to tube led me to look for jobs in two different realms. I was looking for jobs in science and technical writing, and I was looking for jobs in career services for scientists. And I found a job in the career services for scientists. I'm really glad I did, because the more career advising I do, the more I realize I have found that career that is a good fit.
Right.
I spend most of my time meeting with students and faculty members in the sciences, talking about what things they can do to advance their careers, and talking to them about what they do in the lab and in research. So I still get to talk to people about science a lot, even though I'm not doing it myself, which I find really fulfilling. And as part of my role at St. John's, I have the opportunity to teach a class every semester. And so right now I'm teaching Science for Non-Scientists. Our theme is outbreaks. And so it's really exciting to sort of have that experience of taking people who are like communications majors, criminal justice majors, sports management majors, who this is like the only science class they'll take in college, through that process of scientific inquiry. So I'm happy to talk about, that path that I walked on a long time and kept looking at, the academic research route, as well as many of the possibilities that you can do with a degree in science, because it is my job to know those, as well as some opportunities for scientists in higher ed that aren't tenure track faculty jobs.
That's actually really, really interesting. And I think it's so helpful, being in school as long as we have. I think it's so helpful to have somebody who, has a lot of knowledge of going through undergrad and grad school and finding all those opportunities. Like, so much about that it's so natural to like want to do a career in that, I think. I thought of similar things like that too. Just you've been through it so much. It's like you'd be really good at it.
Yeah, and it's been really cool to like, there's this whole new world to me of like assessments and career advising and career coaching, and sort of I'm learning all kinds of things about normal like human development. But at the same time, like I am learning so much from all of my colleagues that have like master's degrees in counseling. And at the same time, they're learning a lot from me, and the students are getting a lot of value from me, because I've sort of walked through that that process. So it's an interesting trend in higher education.
Right.
We have people who are more get trained in like traditional career counseling or counseling higher ed, that primarily work with the freshmen and sophomores. And then once you're like, I know my major, we have a team of people who, like one of my colleagues is a lawyer who decided he was tired of lawyering and being around angry people all the time. And so he's an incredible resource for the government and politics and pre-law and that kind of student. So it's a really interesting way to balance those out.
Yeah, no, that's great. Scientists and engineers are great people to hang around anyways. A lot happier, right?
Yeah. Oh, we have an email.
Ooh.
She says she'll be on in 10 minutes.
Okay. So we'll be kind of repeating that whole thing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I thought that was very interesting. Um, yeah, maybe she had a class running late. Do we know where she's from?
Um, nope. She says she got caught up with dinner and lost track of time.
Awesome. Okay. Um, yeah. All right. I guess we can just wait for her to pop on.
Yeah.
Oh, we got an email from Carla too, that said I hope you were all able to connect. Not right away, but we're getting there. Um,
Yeah. So what do you teach?
So right now, this semester, I'm teaching Intro to Biomedical Engineering, which is a sophomore level, and all the biomedical engineering classes I've teach before that are at a senior level, and it's amazing the difference between the sophomores and the seniors. Like the seniors are very like they know what they're doing at this point. They like you said, they know their major, they know what the deal is, they know what kind of work they have to do for the most part. But the sophomores, it's like totally it's you kind of have to be on them more and they're kind of shy and the seniors aren't shy at all about certain things. So it's really funny how just a couple of years changes the whole dynamic of everything.
Yeah, it's if you haven't picked up any books on, there are several textbooks that my colleagues have given me that I've started reading on the development of a student in college, sort of like
That
as
would
a
be really
theoretical
interesting.
thing. Um, it's kind of amazing, and you can definitely start seeing. Yeah, there are some that like come in and they're just so much farther along, and then I've started to get a lot of seniors who are graduating in May who have never come into career services before and have not done internships, and it's interesting because they are sort of still at that level that those sophomores are at. Like they
Right.
didn't move forward in the progression for
Yeah.
whatever reason. Um,
I think there's some seniors like that, but for the most part, I think Stevens is such a small, specialized school that they kind of have a lot of individualized attention.
yeah,
So I think that, I mean, from the seniors, I think there's only, oh, I want to say like 40 or less seniors in our program this
well, that's
year. We have a
awesome.
huge program because we have a lot of sophomores and freshmen, but our seniors we only have like 40 right now. So it's pretty easy to get on top of them for career stuff and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and I think too, like the students that self-select to go to like an engineering school, they have that pretty good idea of what I want to do. You don't have that
Right.
danger of, well, I
I have
wasn't
no
sure
idea.
what I wanted to major in, and I just kind of wound up a biology, psychology, liberal studies major. Um, Not sure how it happened.
Hey, I'm not sure how it happened, how I got this position, but it did.
Yeah, well done. Well done.
Feel like you just kind of do things that seem right, and then it all works out in the end.
Yeah. That really is the way, you do things that are interesting and you do things that you're passionate about and it turns into something, but, it's hard to convey that to someone.
Yeah,
In some ways, you're
definitely.
telling them to, like, trust this process of development when they want, like, and I think particularly this generation, having come up and spent early adulthood in this economic context, they want a very like linear, I will do this, and then I will do this, and then I will do
Right.
this, and then I'll get this, not like, and then a miracle occurs and you get a job.
Yeah, I mean I do a lot of freshman advising and it's so interesting. Like almost all of my freshmen, I had 12 of them that I was individually advising. At the beginning of the semester, they came in and they're like, okay, all of them were like, okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna get an internship, I wanna do research and then I wanna do that. And I'm like, I don't know as if like it's gonna go that way for you. Like I think because different opportunities come about or don't come about and it's so funny that they're like, yes, I have a plan and I'm going to stick to it. And I'm like, but it's kind of good for you not to have a plan to,
Right.
or not to have like exactly what's going to happen.
I'm gonna see if this is an emergency because sorry.
Oh, no problem.
Nope, he finally read my text that said call back in 20. Okay. One of those, I did send someone out on the snow-covered roads today.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm. Oh, let's see.
that balance between having a plan and not having a plan, or not
Yeah.
being married to your plan. Um, I see a lot of pre-meds. It's an issue.
Yeah. Well, lucky for us, so the biomedical engineering program, you can take that as a pre-med.
Uh-huh.
So we've had a lot of students go into that being like, I'm going to be pre-med. And then all of a sudden they get to their senior year and they're all of a sudden like, I don't want to get into med school, or I can't get into med school, or maybe I don't want to do med school. And it's good that they have like that to fall back on, like
Yeah.
the engineering part of it. Where there's others that have like they just pick something like biology or something general and they go into pre-med and then they're like, oh wait, I don't know what I really want to do.
Yeah. It's a rough one. I never would have, like, I knew when I took the job I would have a lot of difficult conversations with people about how competitive they actually were for
Yeah.
medical school. Because, like, their first stop is the dean who is chair of the pre-health committee. And, he will explain to them, reasonably what their chances are with their GPA and their MCAT. And then they come see me thinking I'm going to give them a different answer.
No. It's
Um,
so competitive and I see all these smart kids like not getting it, like pretty smart kids not getting into med school, and you have to be realistic about that.
Yeah, but you can't, it's interesting what you can and can't convince a 21-year-old of.
True. Very, very, very true.
I have been surprised at how much time I spend teaching people how to calculate a GPA.
What?
Yeah, I would have thought, I'm sure your engineers all have it down, but they would be like, well, Dean so-and-so says that even if I make 4 O's the rest of my time, all A's the rest of my time here, there's no way I can get my GP up to blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, have you done the math? And they're like, you could do the math? And I'm like, yes, you too can do the math. And if you currently have a 2.8 and you've passed 65 hours and you're going to have 128 hours at graduation, like, we can do this math problem. It's a really very straightforward one.
Yeah.
Um,
Funny. That's really funny.
and so I teach them how to do it, and I give them the sheet of paper, and I'm like, and you could sit down and make yourself an Excel spreadsheet and, run through scenarios and see, like, if you have a 2.8 right now, how realistic is it that you're going to make all A's the rest of your time in college?
Yeah.
Let's be honest with ourselves. Run through some scenarios, and when you're, run the numbers, and then come back and talk to me again. And usually, if they come back again, when they come back again, they're much more willing to talk about, other careers in healthcare, because that's another huge thing I see is that people just don't know what options are out there.
It's so true. I mean, even me, I look at something or I like go somewhere or talk to someone. I'm like, wow, you could do that. That's a career. Like, I mean, there's so many options out there now. People aren't even aware of it.
I didn't know what engineers did when I started college. I went to NC State, and all of these friends I had from high school were majoring in engineering, and I was really good. Like, I was top of my class. I was the person who had the calculus questions right. Like, I was very good at that kind of thing. But no one ever stops and said, this is what engineers do.
It's
Um,
it's so true.
and so I never really considered engineering because no one ever told me this is what engineers do.
I
Um,
think I had an older sister that we were both we were looking at careers and we didn't really know exactly what we wanted to do, but we were both very strong in math and science. And someone said to her, she's a couple years older than me, someone said to her, you should look at engineering. And then that's when I was like, what's engineering? Yeah.
So I'm doing a presentation for middle school girls in about a
Oh,
month, who are going to be at like a science day at St. John's. And they're doing like a series of 4 workshops over the semester, but I'm there one of those days, and I'm supposed to talk to them about what you could do if you major in science and math in college. So what would you tell a middle school girl about engineering?
about engineering, well, there's so many different types of engineering, but in general, engineering, I automatically think of it as building something. And to be more specific, building devices or overseeing how to build devices, that sort of thing. There's a lot of different engineerings. I think of the 3 main ones as mechanical engineering, chemical engineering, and electrical and computer engineering. And from there, you kind of have like spin-off engineering.
Yeah.
So biomedical came from mechanical engineering, but also a little bit of chemical engineering. And what I do a lot of electrical engineering, so that's in there as well. And then you have civil engineering that came from mechanical engineering, and they work on buildings. And so all these types of engineering, um, they all have there's that's what I like about engineering is
Mhm.
there's so many different types, and there's you can combine different types and that sort of thing. But it's basically you're building something, you're doing hands-on, you're not just sitting in front of a computer, you're doing hands-on work every day.
Did you get an email at your Gmail address inviting you to the Hangout?
Mm, no.
It would have come from um, Melissa, right? Marissa.
Marissa, yeah.
Um, and it's not in your Gmail account. So you are signed into IPAYETOYOSI@gmail.com. Okay. We're going to try to invite you again. Okay.
Okay. Let me just see what I can do. So it's IPAYETOYOSI. Let's see if we can get her.
All right. We just resent the invitation. Yay!
Yay, she's got it. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. All right. You see it now. I'll see you in a minute. Sorry about that. So civil engineers are building things off of mechanical engineering.
Yeah, so basically there's just a whole bunch of different engineering, and that's what I like about it, but they all build something. They all build something, they all do hands-on work, problem solving. You kind of throw in a bunch of technical skills together, and that's what engineering is.
I always thought the ones that I learned about late in college and wish I had gotten in on a little earlier were a lot of the civil engineering applications that are almost crossover to psychology, like how can we most efficiently board an airplane, or like the behavior of cars driving into tunnels, or
Yeah,
cars
that's
in
like
traffic.
systems and industrial engineering would be those types. And
Okay.
systems engineering and industrial, they're both becoming huge fields. My sister is an industrial engineer, and she works for a bank actually, which is kind of weird, but oh, I think we have hello.
Oh, I can't hear. So I'm
Oh,
trying to turn. Oh, okay, yeah, I can hear now.
all right, you
Okay,
got it.
yeah, sorry.
No problem. Can you still hear
I'm
us?
trying to. Yeah, I can. I'm trying to turn the screen around, but I can't figure it out. So
Okay.
I don't know. So right now, like, cause right now it just shows of my bed, which is like the back. So
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
up
I
on
think
the upper right-hand side usually.
okay.
Sometimes if you like touch the screen, like those other options will come up.
Yeah, I don't know. I never figure it. Oh, okay, I got it. Okay, yeah. Thank you.
No
oh,
problem.
there you
Yay.
are. No.
Hi, sorry
I
I
think
was
I've met
late.
you before, actually.
Sorry?
No, you're fine. So so I'm Marissa, and Kristy is she's co-hosting with me. And what we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna do is we're just gonna tell you a little bit about what we do, probably for the next half hour or so. And you can jump in with questions at any point.
Okay.
And yeah, does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess I'll start. So I'm Marissa Gray. I am currently my position right now is I'm a assistant professor at Stevens Institute of Technology. That's in Hoboken, New Jersey, very close to New York City.
Mhm.
And I am a biomedical engineering professor.
Okay.
So, um, how I started with that was I went to undergrad at Worcester Polytechnic Institute, which is another small engineering school. And I majored in biomedical engineering, but I also minored in electrical and computer engineering because I do a lot of research with biomedical devices and instrumentation.
Mhm.
And I can get a little bit more into that in a bit. Um, but yeah, so then after I graduated with my degrees at WPI, I went to graduate school at Stevens Institute of Technology and I did my master's and PhD there. I just got my PhD. I completed it in May of 2014 and they hired me on as a faculty member for this school year. So I started in August of 2014. I just started last week. Actually, I just started my first spring semester, and I started with a whole bunch of other classes. I teach Intro to Biomedical Engineering, which is at a sophomore level, and I also teach a couple of senior level classes. I teach physiology labs, and I also teach senior design, which is great. I was telling Chrissy before that one of the things I really like about teaching is the student interaction, and it's really fun for me. So if you have any questions at all about biomed or grad school or teaching, I'm a girl for you. Just let me know.
Okay.
What's your year and your major?
Okay. I'm a third year in biomedical engineering as well. And I go to Rutgers, so it's in New Jersey, so it's really close to
Yeah.
New York. Yeah, it's really close to where you work, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I'm like I relate with like a lot of the classes we're seeing. Like I took intro to BME my sophomore year as well, and I was taking senior design next fall. So
Oh wow.
yeah,
Very cool.
yeah.
Very exciting. And do you have any, were you able to do an internship last summer, or are you trying to line something up for this summer?
Well, I've been so last two summers, the last two summers, freshman and sophomore summer, I did research with the professor. Um, I was also like I think freshman year I was also interested in biomedical instrumentation and devices.
Okay.
Only at Rutgers there's only two professors that do that. So one of the professors at the point didn't really have funding, so he wanted to take students in, but he works with optical coherence tomography. Professor that I work with now works with optical scatter and so a lot of cell work dealing with cancer cells and neurons. Um, So I worked with her my first two summers, and then I tried for internships. But the problem with me is that I'm a F1 student, so you know a lot of companies wouldn't take me in for internships, and I didn't really want to do an internship just to do an internship. I wanted to do one that would be that would kind of interest me, so along the lines of biomedical engineering. So I
Right.
went to the 3 year services page, and apparently the Rutgers one is supposed to be big, and I searched biomedical engineering, and I looked through each one, and so it was like there was nothing pretty much. I've been to career fairs as well, and it's like they tell you to fill up your resume, you probably never get a call back, stuff like that. So I think I might not do an internship this summer. I might just do a mentoring program. That's what I'm looking to apply to. But yeah, because it's a little too complicated, and I don't know if I can get around it. So yeah, that's with the internship side of things.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be a tough spot for internships, and you may not want to go ahead and
Yeah.
use the OPT option if you've talked about that with anyone. You know, you may want to save that for after graduation. Is OPT ringing
hmm
any bells?
Yeah. I've heard of that. I've heard of that as well, but I don't know. I think like I haven't been able to. Like I've asked well, and one of my professors actually international, so he also kind of agreed that it would be kind of rough. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
It may be worth going to the International Students Office and talking about the OPT and what you're eligible for in terms of OPT, because
Yeah.
that is, I think it's up to 1 year of eligibility to work in something related to your major. So it's worth something to look into. And then you can tell people you don't need work authorization for the internship. You have it.
Okay.
So go talk to your international office about it, okay?
Yeah.
OPT. So I am Kristy Lamb. I currently am the Science and STEM Career Advisor at St. John's College in Queens. My background is in biology. I did a microbiology degree and a BA in the Public Understanding of Science at North Carolina State University. And while I was there, I did a lot of undergraduate research. I spent 3 years in one lab. And I also did summers at the CDC and a National Science Foundation, REU, at Michigan State University. And so those were great opportunities. I got a lot out of them and really loved doing research. So after I finished undergrad, I trotted off to Yale University, where I earned a PhD in genetics. I worked on how small changes in DNA repair proteins changed how well those DNA repair proteins worked and changed how a cancer cell with that mutation might interact with a drug. After that, I did a postdoc at Weill Cornell in cell signaling, and through being really involved with a lot of things outside of the lab, I became interested in science pipeline issues, like how we're getting people into the workforce and that match between what the workforce needs and what people need and all that kind of issue and the sort of glut of biologists we have running around these days. Became super interested in pipeline advocacy and wound up realizing that all of this passion for career development and talking to scientists about how to develop their careers could actually be a different gateway into a career in higher ed. So I'm currently the STEM Career Advisor, so I meet with graduate students, juniors and seniors, to talk about jobs, internships, and career planning, graduate school, the whole 9 yards, and also lead workshops on like the practical things people need to get ready for that, be it resumes, networking skills, all that jazz. I also teach a class. I teach a section of basically scientific inquiry for non-scientists aimed around outbreaks. So it's for the non-science majors, they're like core requirement in science. They have to take one of these, and so I teach one of the sections and spend a lot of time talking to comm and sports management majors about science. and Um, hopefully get them to talk about science and think about science in ways that are going to be useful to them in the future. And a lot of fun.
Do you have any questions for us that either of us could help you on?
Um, so I don't really think about many questions, but I was just thinking, like, what did you special like? I know you're into devices and everything, but like with your master's and with your PhD, I think this question's for Marissa. It's more specific. So, like, what was your specialty, if that's
Sure.
what?
So in undergrad, like I said, my specialty was very much bioinstrumentation and devices. I also worked a lot on analog circuitry, so more, building devices with specific parts and that sort of thing. But then when I went to graduate school, my advisor, she got me in touch with a local hospital, Hackensack University Medical Center. It's about 20 minutes north of the city, in New Jersey, and they got me involved with a technology where you can wirelessly transmit medical information in real time and over a secure network. And that's what I've been working on for through my master's, my PhD, um, and I still research that. And so specifically, what I did for my master's and PhD is I looked at how to transmit diagnostic ultrasound video from a moving ambulance back to the hospital in real time. And that's a lot harder than it sounds. And we paired up with a bunch of different companies, a broadcast communications company, and also an ultrasound company to get that done. And I was one of two engineers on that project, and there was a whole lot of physicians who know a lot about the medical stuff. They don't know exactly a lot about the technology end of things, and so we helped um, bridge that gap. And that I continue to do research about medical imaging and wireless transmission because we are in a day and age where we always have our cell phones, we always have our computers, and it's very important to transmit medical information and especially over a secure network and as soon as we can, so instantaneously. That's what I work on now. So it's still kind of that electrical device type field, but it kind of morphed a little bit as I met, I went to a different school, I met more people, I found different opportunities. Um, that's how that it kind of came to be. Does that help?
Yeah. I guess another question I have is like for both of you, what sort of motivate? I know you said you were involved with research, but like what else motivated you in grad to go to grad school, like to do your master's and to get your PhD, and like because it gets really intense. So like, what kept you going during the master's and during the PhD? That's my question.
Kristy, you can take that one first.
Yeah. Um, so in terms of inspiration, um, it's something that I wasn't even aware existed until I was like almost in high school that people kept studying. I was one of those kids in elementary school who cried on the last day of school because I didn't get to go to school again until August. I wasn't going to get to go to school for 2 months, and this broke my heart. And so I would sit on my grandmother's couch and read her encyclopedias in the summer for fun. So I think in some ways that, there is an element of that innate quest for knowledge that runs through a lot of people who decide to pursue higher ed to that end. In terms of what kept me going, I think it's important wherever you are to have a good network of supportive friends and colleagues around you to like know who your advocates are. I had an amazing graduate school advisor, and even though there was a period of time that she drove me up the wall, at the end of the day, I realize now that was the reason she was driving me crazy is because she was pushing me to be my best, and I was really lucky to have her. And she knew me really well, and we got to know each other very well. So she was able to help me, like when I needed to dig deep. She was able to find the right things to help encourage me to stick with it. When I thought about quitting graduate school, which I did a couple times, I think a lot of it came back around to the fact that even if I didn't wind up pipetting things for the rest of my life, and I knew I wasn't going to pipette things for the rest of my life. I couldn't imagine doing anything that didn't involve science, so I wanted the experience of doing science to the degree of creating new knowledge. Like I wanted to have done science in this really intense way, even if I knew that the rest of my life doing science wasn't going to look just like this, or my relationship with science wasn't going to be exactly like this. I really wanted to do it. Having that mental picture of what I was going to accomplish and what it would mean to me when I crossed that finish line. I was the first person in my family to go to college, and so feeling like. And so I would have been wildly successful had I gotten an associate's degree. I would have been wildly successful with my bachelor's degree. But, I think that you got to know yourself, and if you're one of those people who just won't quit, you'll have a good time at
it. Yeah, I agree with a lot of the statements Kristy just said, especially two of them. The one that support network definitely helps. I also had a very good advisor during grad school that helped me. She didn't necessarily help me find the answers, but she gave me resources to find the answers, which I would thank her immensely for right now, because so many times people kind of get handed things to them, but that doesn't happen in the real world, and I'm really happy that she kind of made me go fish for answers and do things myself and independently. So the support network, also like your family and friends, significant others, are very helpful. If they're on the same page as you, then it makes it a lot easier, because I'm not going to lie, like Kristy, there's a few times where I was like, especially after when I got my master's, I was like, do I want to keep going with my PhD? Do I actually want to do this? But again, like she said, I always liked school, and I liked learning, and that was one major reason why I went to grad school, because I wanted to do research, and I wanted to run my own research and that sort of thing. But another reason, I'm going to be quite honest, had a little bit to do with the economy, because when I graduated, the economy was pretty bad. I graduated undergrad in 2009. So it was pretty much, I was looking for jobs in 2008. So it was pretty much the height of the recession. And when I was looking at jobs that were available, most people were kind of looking for any job, and I didn't want any job. Kind of what you were saying about the internship, like you just don't want an internship for the sake of the internship. You want something you actually like to do, and that's what I thought too. And I was like, well, I guess what I actually like to do is, research and running my own research, and you kind of need a graduate degree for that. So that's how I decided to go into grad school. So kind of the bad economy helped me make a decision, which was actually a good thing that came out of that. But yeah, your career kind of morphs as you go. So what you think you'll be doing in 5 years might not necessarily be what you're going to do. But like I never thought I was going to become a professor. Never. Like if you told me that 5 years ago, I probably would have laughed in your face. But the opportunities come about, and I think that that's really important is to kind of grasp what opportunities you can get and network with all the people you can network with because you kind of forge your own career path that way. So if you don't know exactly what you want to do right now, that's perfectly okay, and that's definitely good. So you'll be just fine in that. Did you have any other questions? Did that help at all?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Do you have any other questions?
Uh-huh. Well, I was also like, so like I've talked to like a lot of grad students in high school, and same question why did they decide to go to grad school and everything, and they told me most of them think it's these things similar stories like it's kind of hard to get a job like when you do your bachelor's, so that's why like they decided to do their
Yeah.
PhD
Um,
and
so for biomedical engineering, it's not that it's necessarily hard to get a job with a bachelor's, but it's kind of hard. I mean, it's a little more difficult getting a job that you would in what you want to do, I guess you can say. Um, but that like I have students that they get great jobs right out of 4 years of BME. They get pretty good jobs. Usually, they do end up coming back for their masters just so they can, promote themselves and move up in their company or, get another job a little more specialized, that sort of thing. So it kind of is up to you and what you like because a lot of careers these days in BME and in science in general, to get like a specific career in what you want, you do need a higher degree. But that's not saying that you can't get a perfectly good job with 4 years of schooling. Kristy, do you have anything to add on that?
Um, no, I wish someone had told me when I was younger to think about more, not just like what the first job was, but like the whole career path. Because your first job isn't your last job, and the workforce has really changed in a lot of ways, such that most people are gonna potentially change jobs or change companies, or you're not gonna, that job title you have right after graduation is not the job title you'll have for the rest of your life. And so I think it's important to talk to people who are like early career, who finished school recently, and it's also really good if you can have them refer you to people they know who are like mid-career or later in the career, so you can sort of think about what do I want out of my career long term, and what kind of advancement comes with opportunities come with what degree.
Good. Did you have anything else for us?
no, I'm sure. So like I guess backing off of your last statement, so like how you said like looking at the career path. So did you have like right after you came out of undergrad, did you have like an idea of like I guess a theme of what you wanted to spend the rest of your time doing? Yes, because you.
Yeah, so I knew I wanted to continue into, we were talking before how I did research in devices, and that's my strong suit. So I definitely wanted to do more research in that. But when I first went into grad school, I was looking at a device for to detect breast cancer. I was looking on improving a device for that, and when I graduated grad school with my PhD, obviously I did a much different thing. It's similar in that the technology is, you know, electrical and wireless and that sort of thing, but it was definitely a lot different, totally different subset of like physiology and anatomy. It was totally different situation. And so I knew kind of generally what I wanted to do. I picked like that device concentration sort of thing, but the opportunities came to me, and I could choose different opportunities, but these opportunities came to me and I was like, wow, this one looks good. So I'll go along with that. And that kind of continued to happen throughout grad school. And even as I graduated, like I said, I was looking for jobs with research and development companies and also for the government doing different research on for biomedical engineering. And then all of a sudden this opportunity of a teaching position opened up, and I thought, wow, like I would love to do that actually. And and I took that opportunity as well. So you start out with kind of a plan, or I guess a guideline, but and like I said, I love what I'm doing. I'm working in biomedical engineering. I'm working on helping my senior design. I have a couple of senior design groups, and we're building electrical medical devices. It's great. I'm still doing that, but it's a lot different than when I first entered in grad school, what I thought I'd be doing. Kristy, do you have anything to add on that?
Not really. I think that the things that I knew that I liked to do have remained the same, and the number of careers I know that are available to me that involve those things has just expanded exponentially.
Yes.
You know, I thought that
Exactly.
to get this mentoring and writing kinds of concepts that I would need to get a tenure track faculty job somewhere. And instead, I'm teaching and spending a lot of time mentoring, and I have a student affairs job. And, you know, that has a different set of career path trajectory things involved. And I'm even learning that there's actually research to be done in student affairs that's very unlike the type of research I did when I studied cancer, but it's still research and asking investigative questions. So I could certainly have a career where I ask investigative questions and do studies on student outcomes and student populations and trends about what people are going into and what makes students successful. And, you know, who knows, maybe be dean somewhere someday. You know, and it's just, it's not a pathway that I had ever really consciously thought about, but, you know, now that I've explored more things, I know it's there.
All right. Do you have anything else?
Yeah, so the last question is not, I don't know if it's like related to any of what you do, but I feel like you probably had like more connections with people over time, so you may have an idea of like, so it's kind of like what I guess it's something I bounce back and forth over doing, but it's something I kind of always felt like at the back of my mind was what I would end up doing. So I think I'm probably going to med school. It's something, yeah, like I said, like I've danced around it a little bit. And I think I might in then, but I was just thinking, I was also hoping to probably do a master's since I'm not going to apply immediately just because I haven't taken all the classes that I need to for the MCAT, so I probably wouldn't be able to apply immediately. So I think you may probably like take some time off, or maybe that time off to a master's or something. I was wondering if you know maybe listen, it could apply to both of you because of probably the connection you may have made with certain people. But how so like how does like my background as an undergrad like I'm trying to think like how I can like, incorporate it with med school because I don't want to lose this part of me, but a part of me feels like I might lose it. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to lose my undergrad degree, like background
Right.
and
Yeah.
mm,
So I'm going to kind of let Kristy take that because I think that She has a lot more experience with answering those kind of questions than I do, and then I can add after that. So go ahead.
Yeah, so there is an aspect in which whatever you do in, like, medical school does get to be a little bit all-consuming. Um, my fiance was a professional violinist who is now a medical student, and he says that the amount of time he spends studying is nothing. Like, it is far more in comparison to what he spends studying now. The time he spent practicing when he was at Juilliard is nothing. Like, it's all consuming for him, but he doesn't have a strong science background. For people who have a stronger science background, some of his classmates are really enjoying, you know, taking their background knowledge and having it inform how they learn about the body and what they think about the body. In some ways, the way you analyze problems and sort of see the body is always going to be influenced by your training as a biomedical engineer. And so I think it's important to think about, like, how you do see the body as a biomedical engineer, because that is a selling point more unique to you when you do start applying to schools. And you know, it depends on what you decide to do. I don't know how much you know about medical education, but, after your 4 years of medical school, you select a residency and you do additional training. And there are certainly fields that you could go towards that would be more compatible with, like, a physician scientist role. Like, off the top of my head, when I think biomedical engineering and doctor, I think orthopedics. Like, that's the classic answer. But clearly, eye doctors and the technologies being developed to help people see, and there's a lot going on right now. And so it would be up to you when you start picking out how you want to practice as a physician. If you want to be a general practitioner who mostly sees patients, a family doctor, or just sees patients in an emergency room setting, you're probably not going to use quite as much of that biomedical engineering background, whereas there would be a lot of really cool opportunities as a physician scientist where you would use that biomedical engineering background all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And just to add to that, I actually really like that you made medical med school, because that is something that biomedical engineering is something you can always, like, fall back on if you if say you're still thinking about med school. So say if you decide not to, you still have that biomedical engineering degree. And vice versa, if you're going to medical school, then you're still getting your requirements while doing biomedical engineering, which is great. Also, Kristy had a great response to your question. I actually worked with a guy who he's a physician now, but he was an electrical engineer before he was a physician. And he does research on, he was the one that was heading up the research I was talking to you about ultrasound transmission. So he uses engineering, and he is great because sometimes most physicians are very, like, biology anatomy based, and you kind of, when you're doing research, that problem solving that engineers have, and he has both, and he is great to work with. He's invented, like, tons of different things, and it's great having that type of physician to work with. So going off Kristy's answer, yeah, you would definitely, if you go into, like, the research physician, the scientist physician, or physician scientist type thing, then you would definitely use your biomedical engineering, and you wouldn't lose that depending on the field you get into. Does that help?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I don't think I have any more questions.
Yeah, no problem. Do you play?
Did we lose you, Marissa?
Well, I think you have both of our email addresses, so you can.
Marissa? Can you hear Marissa?
No.
I think what she was saying was she was just summing up and saying that you have both of our email addresses if you have additional questions.
Okay.
Okay?
Aisha, let me see if I do. Is it with the Google email or on the Schoology?
Um, yes, and you probably also have, so I just sent you an email via that.
Yeah, oh
Go
yeah.
to emails on the Schoology.
Mm, okay. All right. Thank you so much for answering all of my questions. It was great getting to know you and about a lot about what you do. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And sorry for keeping you waiting for the first like 30 minutes.
I'm glad you are warm and safe and you ladies take care.
No
Yeah.
problem.
Right.
Right.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Yeah. All right. Thank you both.